Hallelujah. We give all praises and honor to our Heavenly Father Yahuwah for the time like this. And we say, may his name be highly exalted. Today, I want us to be able to, take our time, as usual. And welcome to all my brothers and sisters who have been able to be here. So as we are about to study in the book, in order to see the things which has already been written. And in today's study, we are going to be digging deeper and seeing in regards to the law and the prophets, which is something that is very, very important for we to be able to really understand things which is going on. So if you are with me, I would like us to dive into the study straight up. And that is to be able to now start seeing things, which has already been revealed to the sons and daughters of YAHUWSHUWA. Now, if you're with me, I would like us to go into the book of Genesis. We're going to go into the book of Genesis. We're going to read chapter number. We're going to go into chapter number 18. Today, like I said, our topic is going to be topic on the law and the prophets. And we need to be able to understand the things which Yahushua speak about, talking about also that the law, that everything was written already about him, which is in the law and the prophets. So what we have been doing, in some of the previous lessons which we have made, we have already gone into to be able to see where they have already written about him. But today we are going to be seeing about the Torah when you talk about the prophets. Now, in the prophet, when we talk about the prophet, you're referring about the first 5 books of Moses. When you talk about, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So these books, which that the book of, the Torah, or what they call the Older Testament, that particular book, Moses was somebody who was being inspired, was being used as an instrument. Moses is somebody who was being used as an instrument to be able to, okay, hopefully I'm connecting. So Moses is somebody who was being used as an instrument in order to, write things which happened even before his own time. And so during his own time, during his own contemporary time, and things which happened before his own time. So he was being inspired, he was being elevated, he was being, nature, he was being, given the spiritual insight in order to foresee things which happened prior before his own time. And so he was able to do what? To jot things down and record these things down, which was the reason why we had to be able to even go to the book of Genesis, and we are able to read things which happened all the way during the time of Abraham, during the time of Adam, during the time of Noah, during the time of the people who lived before the time of Moses. Now, these things were being recorded there through who? In the Torah. Now, we're talking about where about Yahushua was always also being written about. So this is why the Bible said that when you go to the book of the law and the prophets, so in that law, during that time, when things were going on, when things were happening, during the time of Abraham, during the time of Enoch, during the time of Adam, everything that was happening during that particular time, Yahushua was present. And so this is why you need to be able to understand why the Bible talk about, and the prophets wrote about him, talk about the law, and the prophets wrote about him. So going back beyond things that happened even before the time of Moses. So Moses was a pen, was as somebody who was being used in order to write those things, directly down. So this is what we are going to be doing now. We're going to be going into those particular time of the law in order to see things which has already been recorded by who? By Moses. So this is why I say let's go into the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis, we're going to read from verse number 18, from verse number 1, chapter number 18 of the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis, chapter number 18, from verse number 1, like I said. So here now, the Bible still says that, and Yahuwah appeared unto him in the plain of Mamre he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. So this was the reason why we came here. When we came here, in order to be able to know that these things, this account of what was being recorded by Moses was something that happened even before the time of Moses. Remember, so now here Moses is giving us an account of something, which is the encounter that Abraham had with the visitors that came into his domain. Now, this is very key. This is very key and very important for we to be able to understand. Moses is recording an account of the encounter that Abraham had with the visitors who came into his domain. So he was recording this. And then that is the reason why when he put here, he said Yahuwah appeared. And who is Yahuwah now? When he used the term Yahuwah now, which is the messenger, when you talk about YAHUWSHUWA now in the bosom, when YAHUWSHUWA was in the bosom of the Father, walking through the bosom of the Father, he was the one that appeared in what during the time of Abraham to Abraham, in order to be able to do what, to give Abraham and tell Abraham things which is those Malaks came to do in that particular time. Now I want us to be able to really understand what is going on here, because this was a dispensation whereby these particular people who came, like I say, came there in order to do what, to fulfill a certain mission. And as they manifested in those particular time, as they came in those particular time, they had a mission in order for them to be able to do what, to accomplish. And that mission was to be able to cause destruction in Sodom. So when the Most High Yahuwah sent forth his messengers, his word, that word encoded is what is nothing more than Yahuwah himself. Just like you see, so just like you also saw what happened in the Mount of Horeb, but this place right now is talking about what the plain of Myanmar, what happened then. So it is Moses that is recording these particular events, things that happened even before his own time, telling us that these particular visitors came in order to do, and when they came, this is the encounter they had. So I want us to go in verse number 17. In verse number 17 of the same chapter where we were at. So here in verse number 17, it said, and Yahuwah said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, saying that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he would command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahuwah to do justice and judgment, that Yahuwah may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken. And Yahuwah said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous. No. Now, you understand why they came down. Here, the Bible is giving us the reason why these particular Malaks came down. And the reason is because the cry of Sodom has done what has gone up. You remember, this was the same thing that happened during the time of, when you talk about during the time of the building of the Tower of Babel. Something was happening during that particular time. And so messengers had to be able to come down. And as a result, there was destruction. There was, completely that civilization of that particular time was being brought to its need. To the extent that was why the Bible said that the languages of the people were all scattered, and they dispersed in different parts, and they left building what they were building. I want you to be able to understand those records, those things which were already being recorded at that particular time. So they came down, and the purpose of their coming down was to be able to do what? To come and cause, to sweep off that particular generation that were of evildoers, that we are not in line with the reality, that we are not in line with the will of what our Heavenly Father have already planned to do. So what happened? Those particular people needed to be cleared off. So this is the reason why this Malak, these messengers that came, how did they came? They came in the name. Yahushua, when Yahushua was operating in the bosom of the Father, when he is operating in the bosom of the Father, he cannot bear any other name apart from the name of the Father. And so this is the reason why when they came down in that form. And this is why the Bible said that they dined with Abraham. And so these things were being recorded, that these people died. And these messengers equally were able to tell these people, were able to tell Abraham that, look, we are here. I am not going to come here to be able to do this thing without letting my friend Abraham to know what our intention is, what the purpose of our coming. Now, the purpose of our coming now is now part of the revelation. Remember, at this particular time, Abraham himself did not know the purpose of the coming of these Malaks. And so it is now the duty of these Malaks to be able to reveal to Abraham their mission, because he already said that Abraham is going to he knows Abraham, that Abraham is going to do what? Lead his children. And the purpose of their coming now, so now he gave Abraham the revelation of their mission. Now, we're talking about the things which Moses wrote in regards to what? To this particular prophet. The things which were written down in the law about Yahushua. Now, these are the messengers. Now, in this particular time, like I said, during this particular time, we are talking about during the time that Yahushua is walking in the bosom of the Father before he was being brought forth. And so when he came down in the plain of Myanmar to be able to dine with Abraham, he knew about everything that he did. He knew about his encounter with Abraham. When he came down, even in the pillar of cloud, when he came down in the smoke, in a pillar of fire, when he came down in the burning bush, and all these things were already recorded by who? Moses. And Moses is what is the law. So we are talking about, when you go all the way from the book of Genesis, you'll see the reports about Yahushua in the book of Genesis. You go to the book of Exodus, you would see the report about Yahushua. Now I want us to be able to go in the book of Luke first before we continue. Luke chapter number 24. The book of Luke chapter number 24. From verse number 27. Now, this is what we are going to read now. This is the words that you need to be able to see. From verse number 27 of the book of Luke 24:27. The Bible said here, and beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scripture the things concerning himself. Now, I want us to be able to really and understand the situation right here now. The Bible says, beginning at Moses, this is what we just went to, in order to be able to start from the things which were being recorded by Moses. And then we're going to move on to what? To the prophets. And now, when you began from the things, the records of the things which Moses recorded, you would now be able to realize and discover that when you talk about the book of Genesis, when you talk about in the garden, Yahushua was there. When you talk about that was the spirit that was moving in that garden, and that word that spake, it was the spirit of, it was Yahushua. When you saw the things which happened during this particular time, during the time of the Tower of Babel, the coming of the people who came in order to do what? To bring in confusion. That is not confusion, but to bring in, to scatter the people who were already in the situation where they are at. That is to say, going against the will, going against the commandment of the Most High, going against the status quo, going against what the plan of our Heavenly Father has already been in place. That is why they had to come down. That is how they have to be able to come down in order to do what? To destroy, just the same way that they came down during this particular time of what? Of Abraham. So you go all the way through these particular places, you are going to be seeing the reports of what is taking place. And so this is the reason why here the Bible says in the book of Luke 24:27, he started explaining, telling, revealing. This is something that you need to be able to understand. He started revealing himself. Now, how is he going to reveal himself to these people if he has not performed something in the word which they themselves did not know that he was the one that performed it? So it is now time for him to be able to do what? To reveal to them the things that he has been doing from eternity, the times immemorial, from the time that you cannot even remember. And so this is why the Bible says he, beginning from Moses, he started doing what? Beginning from Moses and the prophets, he started expounding unto them the things which were written concerning himself. Now, you're seeing him there. You will see somebody who he is not yet up to 40 years, right? Up to 50 years. And then he is now telling them that he's going to do what? Beginning to tell them things which he has been doing. Imagine that situation and how the people who were with them there, how those scribes, the Pharisees, are going to be feeling or are going to be looking at him. You are not here 40 years and you are trying to tell us that you know something that has happened during the time of Abraham. You are not yet 50 years and you want to tell us that you want to talk about things which has happened even before the time of Abraham, during the time of Noah, during the time of the Echad, during the time of Nimrod, during the time of... You are not yet 50. You understand what is going on. So this is something that at the time Yahushua needed to be able to reveal, because at that time that those things were happening, he was aware of all those things. This is the reason why the Bible said that why the Father was doing things. He was even beholding the Father, knowing everything that the Father was doing, because everything that was made through him. He was aware of the things which he was manifesting, doing at the time where he was doing, when the Father was using him in order to do those things. So here the Bible says here that beginning at Moses, which is what we have just done, we went into the book of Genesis. We saw the visitation of these three messengers, or these three malaks that came down. And what did these three malaks do? These three malaks came down to destroy. And so Moses himself equally recorded this particular report. Now I want us to be able to really see and understand what happened here. So I want us to go into the book of John chapter number 8. The book of John chapter number 8. Now we want to see the book of John chapter number 8 from verse number 14. Or we're going to start reading from verse number 12 of the book of John chapter number 8. Follow with me, my dear brothers and sisters out there, so that we can be able to do this study and see the mysteries which are already being recorded for our learning. Now you see here from verse number 12, the Bible says, "Then spake Yahushua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness." You will not walk in ignorance. You will not walk in something that you do. You will not stumble on something that you would know what you are doing. You would know your path. You would know your movement. You would know where you are going to. You would know what you are, the future that holds. That is say, your way to your destination is sure. That is, you are not going to be somebody who is dangling, which tells you that what Yahushua already, before he could say something like this, he already have those same things. He knows everything that has happened before that particular time. He is not somebody, he did not need nobody to be able to teach him about nobody. He knew everything about those particular time was in Yahushua. So he knew what he was doing. He knew what has happened. He knew what is going on and what is going to take place. Now this is the word. Now listen to what he said to them here now. He said that he that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Light of life, which means what is light of life? Which means is not any kind of life. The light of life, which means you came from somewhere. You would know where you were before you came here, and why you are living here, where you're going to. You are going to be sure of what you are doing in the course of life. You understand what the Bible is saying here? Listen to what the Bible says here. He said here, and the Pharisees, so when he was speaking these things, while he was speaking these words, he said here, the Pharisees therefore said unto him, Thou bearest record of thyself. Thy record is not true. So these are the Pharisees now who are speaking to him, saying that what? You are bearing record of yourself. And this record that you are bearing is not what? It's not true. Listen to what the Bible says here in verse number 14. It said, and Yahushua said unto them, Though I bear record of myself, yet my record is true. For I know whence I come. So did you see what I'm talking about? So he has the knowledge where he is coming from. He knows where he is at. And Yahushua knows where he was going to. Are you understand what is going on? He knows where he is from. He knows where he is at that particular time. And then he knows what is going to be, because he is the master. He is the Aleph and Tau. That is to say, the beginning and the end. Now listen to what the Bible says here now. He said, Yahushua answered and said unto them, though I bear record of myself, yet record is true. My record is true, for I know whence I come and whither I go. Now, I want you to be able to understand this. He knows where he is coming from, but he is in the present, right? And then he knows where he is going to. He knows where he's from. So his manifestation there did not just begin there. He knew that he has been walking before. He has been walking before, and his manifestation to that particular time. And that particular time that he is, yet he still have other works to do. And that is to say, where he is going. That is why he said here, listen to what he said. He said, but you can, he said, for I know whence I come and whither I go. So I know where I'm coming from and where I'm going to. This is Yahushua speaking now. But listen to what he said to them. He said, but you cannot tell where I come and whither I go. You cannot tell, but I know. Now, these are the difference of things which you need to be able to understand in regards to the people who do not even understand the power which was walking in what? The power of the life of Yahushua, which was walking, the power of life of YAHUWAH, which was walking through Yahushua. Listen to what the Bible says here. He said, ye judge after the flesh, I judge no man. And yet, if I judge, my judgment is true. For I am not alone, but I and the Father that sent me. It is also written in your law that the testimony of two men is true, which is the record of what Yahushua is saying now. It is also written in your law. Talk about now the things which we are already being written in what? In the law. About what? The testimony of two men. You know, when you two witness, when two people bear record of something, so that thing is true. And now you have a testimony about Yahushua. The Father is bearing witness of Yahushua, and then Yahushua is bearing witness of himself, despite the fact that these people do not accept his witness, which he was bearing to himself. That doesn't make the witness which he is bearing about himself a lie, because they did not accept it. They have not come into that level to be able to do what? To overstand. Because the witness which he is giving about himself is true, what makes it wrong to be able to do what? To tell them what truth is. So the witness already, when you go into the law, already confirms and say that the witness of two people is already being confirmed. Rather, so if the Father has confirmed him and he himself knowing himself, the other person doesn't matter. If you don't believe on that report, that is your own problem. But this is where their problem lies. They were like, that thou bearest record of thyself, but thy record is not, it's not true. But yet the Father has already given him and anointed him and given him that word and said, this is my word, in whom I am well pleased. That is to say, talking about this particular word now, confine his word in Yahushua, which is the express word of our Heavenly Father. Now you see, those things are things which were written in the law. Number one, already they did not even believe on the law, which they themselves have already been saying that they are part of. Which is when you talk about what the witnesses of two is already being agreed. So these people are not, because right here now, Yahushua now is going to be able to let them know and understand, talking about them Pharisees now, for them to be able to understand that the Father who sent him, number one witness of him, and the second witness is himself. So if he has these two witnesses, like I said, and if they don't believe it, if they don't believe the witness that he bear, and yet the witness that he bear is true, that is their own business. That is their own problem. And so we're talking about what? The records which were already being recorded about Yahushua in what? In those particular book, which is called the Torah. Or when you talk about them in Moses, or you talk about the things which are already being written in the law. So because remember, like I said, where we just read that when you go into the book of the law and the prophet, they spoke about me. So in order for us to be able to understand how they spoke about him and on what basis, how, where, that is why we are doing this particular study. So we saw encounter, that is the encounter of that Malak. And now we want to be able to go back into what is called the New Testament, which is nothing but another part of Old Testament. Just like I said, that actually when you talk about the so-called New Testament, the New Testament started from the book of Acts of Apostles. And you need to be able to understand what is going on. So I want us to be able to go into the record of what happened in regards to, the book. We're going to go into the book of John. We're already in the book of John now, chapter number 8. Okay, John chapter number 8 is where we're right now. John chapter number 8. Yeah, from verse number 18. So from verse number 18. So here now, I want us to read and see what the Bible says here now. He said, like I said, we're talking about two witnesses there, which has to be confirmed. So he said here, number one, I am one that bear witness of myself. Did you see what the Bible is saying here? In John chapter number 8, from verse number 18, I am one that bear witness of myself, and the Father that sent me bear witness of me, which is two. Now these two has confirmed. Then said they unto him, where is thy father? Yahushua answered. Now, this is what you need to be able to understand the situation here. Things were recorded about Yahushua. And Yahushua is giving them a revelation of what has happened, of what took place, of his pre-existence. Literally, he was trying to let them know that he has been somebody who knows where he is coming from, where he is now, because you remember that the Bible talked about that he did not need no man to be able to tell him who is who, because it's already in him, and then he knows where he is going to. And now he is giving this report. The Father that he bears witness of himself, one. The Father bears his witness, which is two. And in the law is already being written that the law of two is what is already being confirmed. Now I want us to be able to really see and understand what the Bible is saying here now. Now follow with me. We're going to go into the book of Exodus. Exodus chapter number 3. We're talking about Yahushua in the law. The things which were being recorded about Yahushua already, which he was bearing, which was already being given. So I want us to be able to go there into the book of, just bear with me. Okay, let's go to the book of Exodus chapter number 3. Now remember the Bible talked about that everything, that is to say, that was written about him has to be fulfilled. And then when you read what Philip said, which we are going to also go into, but let's go to the book of let's go to the book of John 1:45 before we come back also into the book of Exodus chapter number 3. So John chapter number 1 from verse number 45. John chapter number 1 from verse number 45. Now this is where Philip findeth Nathanael and said unto him, we have found him of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Yahushua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Now this is what Nathanael wrote. And like I say, we have gone into the book of, where we went into the book of Genesis in chapter number 18, we saw the encounter that what happened between in the plain of Meam, between that particular Malak and Abraham. And that Malak, later on, like we read, also revealed himself. You know where he revealed himself, which is where we're also going to come back to there. That is in the book of John, chapter number 8, where that Malak who was with Abraham revealed himself to show that he was the one that was with Abraham, because he is now time to be able to now begin the revelation process of his pre-existence, his existence in those times that they did not even understand. And so now I say that what that he had found that person that Moses wrote about where in the law. Moses wrote about, and we went all the way, and then we saw what Moses wrote in the book of Exodus chapter number 3. And then we read from verse number 2. The Bible says here, and the angel from chapter number 3, from verse number 2. And the Bible says here, and YAHUWAH, and the angel of YAHUWAH appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Who is this angel of YAHUWAH that appeared unto him in a plane of what? In a plane of in a flame of Moses. So I want us to be able to also go into the book of we're going to go into the book of where we are at in the book of I don't know if the network is connecting. That's good. All right, we're going to go back into the book of John. Into the book of John, chapter number 8. Now we're going to read from verse number. We're going to from verse number. From verse number 39, they answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. YAHUWSHUWA said unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. But now you seek to kill me, a man that had told you truths, which I have heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham. You do the deeds of your father. Then said they unto him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Elohim. Now, we already know what happened here in this particular passage. To the extent that this particular scribe, the Pharisees, and these elders of the people, they say that they are also from the stock of what? Of Abraham. And then he said to them, if you are Abraham's children, you would do the same thing, that you would do the deeds of Abraham. But you go on and try to kill somebody who did not do you wrong, but rather somebody who is telling you the truth. And you went about trying to kill him, and you said that you are children of Abraham. You are not the children of Abraham. Because if you are children of Abraham, you wouldn't do the things that Abraham, you would do the things that Abraham did. And what is it that Abraham did? Abraham paid his tenth even to someone, to King Melchizedek. Abraham is somebody who, when YAHUWSHUWA visited, when these Malaks visited, he prepared something for them. Abraham was the one. So this encounter that happened during that particular time, this was the reason why when you continue reading here now, the Bible makes us to be able to understand that they said, to the extent that they came into the situation whereby, they say that, you are not yet 40 years old. Have you seen our father Abraham? And he said that before Abraham was, I am. You understand what that means? He told them that before Abraham was, that he is. Which means he is the pre-existing one. He is the one that has been. And so when they heard that word, they were struck within them. And they seem to, they see it as so arrogant. I want you to be able to understand the situation of this, that particular term. When he immediately pronounced that what before Abraham was, I am. That was a deep thing to the people, because they saw that what he has not yet been 40 years old. Where did he meet Abraham? This is the reason why the Bible is saying to us that what you are not yet 40 years old. Have thou seen our father Abraham? This was why they asked that question. But YAHUWSHUWA, like I said, where Yahushua knew where he met Abraham, because if he did not know where he met Abraham, he wouldn't have said what he said. This is why I tell you that he knew his times. He knew where he is at. He knew where he was going to. This is what makes the difference between who is who. You understand it. But these people can't understand it. Can't see why? Because there's no truth. The life of Yahushua was not in them. The life of truth, of life itself, that was propelling that life, that message that was already been encoded in what in the law, is not propelling, is not the one that is guiding these particular people. Because what we are talking about the testimonies, which, we're talking about the testimony which Moses himself have already written, the things which were being written by Moses, which they who claim to be part of the people who are following Moses should have been adhered to. They should have believed the report of the things which Moses wrote. But they did not. They have issues in doing what? In accepting or believing, accepting those things, the truth of what Moses wrote about Yahushua. You understand what is going on here now? So they had that particular issue. This is the reason why within them they have that particular spirit of hatred in order to go about killing him. So this is why Yahushua speak to them and say but now you think about going to kill me, a man that has told you the truth, which I have heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham. So he told them that you did the deed of your father, and then they did not. They say that they are, and then he told them that you are of your father, the devil. That was why he was trying to let them know, to differentiate to them. So what are we talking about, my dear brothers and sisters out there? We're talking about, you see, the report which was being recorded by Moses about Yahushua, because it is already been recorded. The things, who he is, the revelation, not just by the law, but we have two, even three. Is it by the law and the prophet? Even in the Psalms, we have the law recorded about me, talking about Yahushua. The prophet recorded about Yahushua. When you talk about the psalmists, they recorded all about what? About Yahushua. So now it is now time. Yahushua spake and said, it is now time to reveal to them the places where these people recorded about me. So he went into the laws, into Genesis, the things that are being recorded about him in the book of Genesis. That was why he brought the issue of Abraham into the issue of Moses, which is all written in the law. Understand what is going on. And it is not just in the law that he was being written about. You go all the way in the prophet. The prophet wrote about him. And we can talk. How many are we going to speak about? The ones that wrote about him in what? When you talk about, is it prophet? As you talk about Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and all these prophets. You talk about even Elijah, Elias, spoke about what? Prophesied, testifies about what? About Yahushua. Now, like I said, this is the misconception that a lot of people are doing. Having this mindset, believing that the New Testament began from the book of Matthew. That is not the beginning of the book of the New Testament. And this throws a lot of people aside from understanding the revelation that is contained within that, within Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Because if you don't understand the nature, if you don't understand the power of Elohim, the power of what was going on during that particular time, you will be switched off. You will be switched aside. You will be set aside from understanding the revelation and the mission of Yahushua at the time that he came to be able to manifest those spiritual power missions. He manifested in those particular times. That was the time of a lot of things, the end of something, in order to begin up something new. So he was being born during the contemporary time of what? Of the prophets, the law and the prophets. Don't you understand that? Yahushua was born during the time of the law and the prophets. So he marked the end of that particular dispensation in order to begin something new. So he was born inside of, he was born in those particular times. So if he is born in those particular times, that means we are going to be calculating the revelation. We are going to be calculating about the New Testament from the time that he resurrected, and not from the time of his birth, because he was born during that particular time. Which was the reason why Moses and Elijah appeared to him. Because this was during those particular time, until his own ascension, that was the beginning. From the time of his death, the time he never died, but from the time of his, hanging on the stake, and him resurrecting, appearing up to the Malaks, appearing to Miriam, appearing to Paul, appearing to the apostles. That was the beginning of the New Testament. The New Testament did not begin when he was born. He was born during the contemporary time of the law and the prophets. So he was there in order to usher in this new era. You need to be able to understand what is going on. So we talk about the law and the prophets. They recorded about YAHUWSHUWA. Moses, we saw already, which is the law, recorded about YAHUWSHUWA. Are we talking about now? Let's go and then we'll see about those them prophets, because we talk about Isaiah, right? Is that one of those them prophets who recorded about what? About YAHUWSHUWA. Because we're talking about that, the time. Elijah, Elias was also one of the, if not the greatest prophet of ever born among women, which YAHUWSHUWA himself testified of. Also gave a report. About what? About YAHUWSHUWA. What does Prophet Isaiah say? Now, we have seen about the law. We have so many things when we talk about the law. The records of the things which was being recorded about YAHUWSHUWA. But we've just seen few. Still, we're still going to come back some of them there. But we want to see about those them prophets, the things which were being recorded about YAHUWSHUWA. Now in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 7. Now we're going to read from verse number 14. Now we talk about, remember, we talk about during the time of the plain of Myanmar. We talk about during the time which is in the prophet, in the law. We talk about during the time that he appeared in Mount Horeb in a flame of fire. But he's appearing this time in the form that he's going to be appearing now. I want us to see what the prophets wrote about how he is going to do what? Manifest. Because this was still the same, within the same contemporary age of what? Of the law and the prophet. Just like I said, which is the reason why you saw Moses and Elijah appearing in the, and YAHUWSHUWA was in the midst, letting you know that that was still that contemporary dispensation until his own ascension. So while you have the people, Moses and Elijah, YAHUWSHUWA has already gone in order to establish something greater. Why people are just don't understand what is going on spiritually. Now, let's see what the Bible says here. So, a lot of people are here being stuck, not understanding that the greater thing has already been manifested through who? YAHUWSHUWA. Now, listen to what the Bible says here. In verse number 14, this is now the prophet. This is prophet because the law and the prophet, he started expounding to them the things which were written concerning himself. And the prophets now wrote, therefore the master himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Did you see who is speaking here? Who is speaking? Isaiah. Now Isaiah is saying the master himself. Who is Isaiah calling the master? YAHUWSHUWA. YAHUWSHUWA was the one that was leading Isaiah, which was the reason why when Isaiah got the revelation, the master gave him a revelation how he's going to appear. And how is he going to appear? This is why he said, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son and shall call his name Emmanuel, which means the mighty one, the master. Because Isaiah was the one that was a prophet. So, but this time around, now the master of Isaiah is going to appear himself now. It's not going to be using Isaiah to be able to manifest, or he's not going to use Isaiah now. He's going to come himself. And during that time, it was Isaiah that was running that particular word through his master. So when he said the master himself shall give you a sign, and shall bring forth a sign, and this is going to be the sign, he was talking about his own master. He's not talking in any other person than what that YAHUWSHUWA himself, showing forth. Which is why he said this is how he's going to come out in. Now, this sign is not everybody. People like Isaiah are going to see this sign and know that this sign is what is from the master, but not everyone will be able to see it. Who are these people? Who recorded this? Who recorded it? Isaiah now. Somebody gave him the revelation to reveal these things. Are you with me? Somebody gave Isaiah the revelation to be able to reveal this thing. And so this is why he said here, and shall call his name Emmanuel, which means the mighty one. Emmanuel simply means, some people, they come here, they say, like I've heard somebody was saying that, that the Bible is contradictory. That one place they called him Emmanuel and the other place they called him Jesus, or they called him, they called him Jesus. Which one is it? This is to let you understand how low people's mind of grasping the truth or understanding the mysteries. They have been so much bamboozled, they have been so much laid low that they cannot even see something which was being laid in plain sight. This is the master of Isaiah. Who was Isaiah? Isaiah was a prophet. So this master of Isaiah is going to show forth himself. And this master of Isaiah was the one that was running that realm. But this time around, he is going to come forth. And when he is coming forth, when he is going to come forth, he is going to be the mighty one in the midst of the ordinary one. So he's going to be called Emmanuel, which means the great one among the ordinary. So Emmanuel simply means the mighty one in the midst of the ordinary. And who gave the report of this to be able to let you know that actually the one that came forth is the mighty one? Let's go to the book of John. Even John revealed this thing. John is a prophet. John the Baptist is a prophet. He gave you a revelation of who YAHUWSHUWA is. And he is, in the scripture, it was being recorded that among them that are born of a woman, there has not risen anybody, no prophet even, that is greater than John the Baptist. But let's see the report that he gave about YAHUWSHUWA. Let's see the report, because we're talking about the one that is in the midst, because we're talking about this mighty one in the midst of the ordinaries. So somebody also gave a report and confirmed what Isaiah spake about. Are you with me? Somebody gave a confirmationary, confirmed what Isaiah spake about. And who is that? That person is equally also a prophet. Even a great prophet. Go with me into the book of John. The book of John. We are going to read chapter number 1. We're going to read chapter number 1 from verse number 27. Okay, so we're going to start reading from verse number 26. It says here, John answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there standeth one among you. Who is this? Who is this one that standeth among you? Who is this Emmanuel, the great one that stand among you? People reverence and cherish, elevate, what almost worship John the Baptist. And now John the Baptist is saying that there is somebody in your midst. Who is this person that is in their midst? Who is that person in their midst that John the Baptist is speaking about that they themselves did not know? Who is he? He said that there is one in your midst. You people all pay reverence. You people respect me. But I got to tell you the truth. I have to tell you the simple truth to let you know that there is somebody in your midst. Who is this one? Emmanuel. Who is this one? The greater one. Who is this one? The I am. Who is this one? The master. Who is this one? The one that is my master. That is what he was trying to let them know. Are you understanding what is going on here? He said to them, Yahushua, he said, John answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there is one standing among you whom you know not. You don't know him. Ah, my goodness. So this person is already being hidden in the plain sight. Did you understand what is going on here? He is hidden in plain sight. He is in their midst, but they don't know him. The only person that knows him is what? Is John the Baptist. People like on the calibers of what of John the Baptist. They were the ones whose eyes are open, who knows who he is. And they know. John the Baptist know that what? For this one, he's not an ordinary, of course. John the Baptist know that despite the power that he had, despite the power that he had to pull congregation, to pull people to form his own organization, his own religious sect, yet, no matter what power he exercises then at that particular time, it is nothing to compare to this particular one. What does the Bible say in the book of Isaiah? Emmanuel, the greater one in the midst of the ordinary. So Emmanuel is a title letting you know that there's the greater one, the master of Isaiah is going to be in the midst of the ordinary. And now John is already telling you. Are you getting what is going on? John is already telling you that that mighty one is in your midst. And you did not even know it. And now it is John that a lot of people knew about. It is John that a lot of people were following. It is John that people were already, literally worshiping. But now he has given this particular testimony about this particular person. And listen to what he said. He said, whom you know not. He it is who coming after me is preferred before me. Is preferred by who? Those people who understand, whose eyes are open to see him. Those whose eyes are open to see him. Who is bearing this record now? John the Baptist. John is what? Is a prophet. The Bible confirmed that he's a prophet greater born of a woman. Are you understanding what is going on here? And then he said that what? He said he's preferred before men. So if you are able to see, your eyes is being open, that is where you're going to, you know that this is the master of all. It is not about John. Because John already spoke about it and said that he baptized with water, but this person that is coming is going to baptize you with what? With the Ruwach, with fire. John said that now let's see what he said. Whose shoe latchet I am not worthy to unloose. Who said this? John the Baptist. Who gave this report? About who was he giving this report? He was giving this report about Emmanuel. He was giving this report about YAHUWSHUWA. He was giving this report about that great one that is in the... Follow with me in verse number 14 of the same John chapter number 1. He said here in verse number 14, he said, and the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Did you understand what is going on there? And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Who is this us? The us are those ones who are not up into the level of this greater one that has come. And that is why John was bearing witness of this greater one. So this greater one, before his manifestation, already revealed how he's going to come forth. So he was expounding about himself already on the things which were being written. Which was the reason why people like Phillips were able to see. They were able to see this master. Because Moses wrote about him. It was written in the prophets. And now they have been elevated to now see in the caliber of, when you talk about people now, when you talk about in the state whereby people like John the Baptist are up in, those people can see and understand that this is the master of God. Have you ever sat down before and you ask yourself, why do you see in the scripture, you see they put in the Lord God, Lord, and then before they put in God? What they are trying to do in the scripture is to be able to let you know that there is the master one. There is the one that controls, that rules. There is the one that rules. And that is the testimony that John is giving here. And these reports are things which has already been recorded. This is why John was speaking what he was speaking here. He said that his shoe latchet. John, despite all that he had, he is not worthy to be able to unloose the shoe latchet of what? Of YAHUWSHUWA. He's not worthy. Despite his greatness during the time that he manifested. Did you understand the magnitude of that? Did you really understand that? We're talking about being elevated. We're talking about seeing, opening the spiritual eyes to those who will be able to really see the master and walk in his footsteps. Because remember what he said in the book of Matthew chapter number 11. He said, of them that are born of a woman, there has not arisen anyone greater than John the Baptist, yet the least in the kingdom of YAHUWSHUWA. The least in my kingdom, that is in the kingdom of YAHUWSHUWA, literally, is going to be greater than John the Baptist. Did you understand what that means? And it was the same John that gave record about YAHUWSHUWA. So we saw that what in the old, what they call the Old Testament, it is already being recorded about what? About the coming king, about this particular Malak, about this master one manifesting itself. So this is why Isaiah recorded it and said that his master, the master, Elohim, the master is going to show forth. It's going to be manifested in this form. And the manifestation in this form is that a virgin is going to take. She is going to bring forth. That is her job. Just to bring forth. I shall call his name Emmanuel. John confirms it here. Say the great one whose shoe latchet You say that one, you see somebody in your midst whom you know not. This is the confirmation of the things that you need to be able to understand, my dear brothers and sisters. That when we go all the way, go to the book of Psalms, we go to the book of Songs of Solomon, we all see the places where things were already being recorded about Yahushua. He began to expound to them about him when he has been working for eternity. And then it is now time. He appeared, like I said, he appeared in different forms, different times. He appeared in the form of a wind, in the form of cloud, in the form of smoke, in the form of fire, in the form of, I'm telling you, what form do you want now? He appeared in different form. And now it is now time to be able to do what, to appear in that form, what they call a baby. And yet they want you to believe, to know, to think that that is the beginning. That is why they twisted the mind of the people. This is why I say, you got to be able to be elevated, my dear brothers and sisters, in order to understand that Yahushua have been in pre-existent, and that's coming in that form is another form of his own manifestation. It's another form of his own manifestation, which ended that particular dispensation to begin something which is new, something which is more glorious, something which is more powerful. So he already elevated, and then Moses and Elijah, they have been left here while he has already been walking. Somebody, people who have ears and eyes will be able to see. I go to prepare a place. But Moses and Elijah are here trapping people, holding people who cannot see that movement, who cannot see that resurrection, who cannot see or understand the mystery of what is going on. I'm here to elevate my brothers and sisters, those who have made up their mind, to free them and elevate them in newness of life. We have a lot of things to discuss, my dear brothers and sisters. I just made this particular message briefly now, and praying that the Most High Yahuwah will be the one to be able to elevate my brothers and sisters and give them an understanding, elevate them. Because what I do in the spirit of Yahushua, to be able to elevate you and raise your knowledge, your wisdom in the truth of Yahushua, for you to be able to do what, to see and know the things which you are supposed to know. And by so doing, the Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Remember, my dear brothers and sisters out there, today we've come to the conclusion of our study, and we're going to go on in our next topic next week. So join us as we study, my dear brothers and sisters. Remain strong and remember Ruwach as always. And I pray, may the Most High, whose name is Yahuwah, may the words which has been sown in the life of my brothers and sisters, may those words bear fruit in their lives. This we pray in the name of Yahushua. You all remain strong and remember Ruwach. Shalom to you all. Shalom, shalom.